Hey everybody, it's Ian the Kilter Crafter. I hope you're having a great day today. And today I'm going to be talking about this monstrosity of a quilt. Recently I posted a picture of this quilt on Facebook and several Cricut and other groups, and a lot of you had questions on how I put this quilt together because I did use my Cricut Explore Air to create this quilt. I used the Cricut Explore Air to put these Micky Mouse silhouette heads onto the colored fabric, and I wanted to tell you a little bit how I did that. Now you will have to forgive me, I took a long time putting this quilt together, and it wasn't just me, it was actually my aunt and I who worked on this quilt. It took over a year. It took, I believe we started this quilt back in 2015, and it took all of 2016 and a little bit into 2017 to finish this quilt. It is a very large quilt. It is approximately 107 inches long by about 67 inches wide. That's a little bit off, I think, but I have to account for the border on both sides, which I did not account for when I first took my measurements because I was just measuring the squares. Anyways, long story short, it is a very, very, very big quilt, and it was definitely hard to sew because we had to do a lot of stitch in the ditch with it. So if you're not familiar with quilting, which I was not whenever we started putting this quilt together, stitch in the ditch is where you're going to be basically stitching in the seams, and whenever you're putting the whole quilt together. I'm not very good at quilt terminology. I know many of you out there are, so if I mess something up, go ahead and leave a comment down in the comments below. Let me know the correct terminology if I do get something wrong. As you can tell, this is a Disney themed quilt. It has different blocks that are some of my favorite Disney movies. It also contains the solid colored blocks with the Micky Mouse silhouette heads on it. Using my Cricut Explore Air, I cut the Micky Mouse silhouette heads out of material. In order to help stabilize the material, I did use some freezer paper. I ironed that freezer paper onto the back side of my material as I was cutting it, leaving the material exposed on the top. I had purchased some heat and bond because I thought I would be able to use that as the stabilizer for the backside of the Micky Mouse silhouette heads, but unfortunately you cannot sew with this one, at least not with this packet, which is the red packet. Don't sew with this because it will mess up your sewing machine. There is some that you can use that is sewing machine safe, but unfortunately, this is not the kind that I use. I basically treated the Micky Mouse heads as an applique, so after I cut them out using the Cricut Explore Air, my aunt and I then sewed it on with a zigzag stitch to make sure that the Micky Mouse head stays on quite nicely. We were afraid that even with the iron-on stabilizer and bonding material, that it would come undone. Especially going through the washing machine, I really feared that it would peel back up. I wanted to give you a close-up view of the stitching around each Micky Mouse head, and I think you can kind of get a feel for how close the zigzag stitch is. On the back side of the quilt, we used the leftover material from each pattern to create just basically big long bars that go across the back, since we did not have enough of the red border material to fill in the back. Some of you asked whenever I posted the picture up of my quilt how you cut material on the Cricut. There is a specific setting for cutting material, and you do not have to use the deep cut blade. I use just the regular standard blade that comes with the machine. You can always switch to the German Carbide. I think it's Carbide, is that right? The German cut blade that gives a very nice sharp cut to your materials. However, any of the blades will work with your Cricut Explorer. Also, I found that different materials, different colored materials, cut more or less difficult. I guess it's hard to describe that. Basically, depending on the color was how well or how not well a material cut. I had to do several recuts of different colors because they just didn't work the first time. Thankfully, I had a lot of extra material on hand in order to cut out yet another square. Each of these squares is a 12 by 12, and the Mickey Mouse silhouette head is at approximately 10 inches. My aunt also helped to embroider the bottom of this quilt, so I always remember when we put this quilt together and that we worked on it together. Alright guys, I think that's going to do it for this video. I hope I've answered your question, and once again, if I haven't, leave it in the comments section below. I hope everybody has a great day, and remember guys, keep it off kilter. Bye! I was actually recording. Say hi to YouTube.
Hi, YouTube world.